Welcome back to the request response channel. In the last video we changed a full CRUD workflow using dynamic variables. Today we are taking that same flow and refactoring it using real API testing best practices. The kind used in Postman, RestAssured, Cypress, Playwright, and of course Bruno. Bruno is just the tool we are practicing in, but the principles you will learn apply to any API automation framework. When your API project grows, your tests grow too. If you hardcode URLs, repeat values, or scatter logic across requests, your suite becomes impossible to maintain. That's why automation engineers follow several key practices across every tool. Separate static and dynamic variables. Use pre-run logic to keep requests clean. Lock responses for visibility. Write clear, predictable assertions. Positive plus negative validations. So let's take our user operations request from last time and refactor them into something scalable and maintainable. Let's start with the most important variable in any API project, the base URL. In Bruno, first we have to create an environment, name it def. Now we can create base URL as an environment variable with a value. Now let's set value here, and from this point on, instead of writing full URLs everywhere, we will use this short version. This keeps your collection clean, reusable, and easy to switch between environments later. Now, let's improve our body. In API automation, static fields should never be hard-coded inside the request body. Instead, we store them in a script or config, so the requests stay readable. In our case, we will move fields like email, password, name, and avatar into a small pre-run script. This approach is universal. In Cypress, you would use fixtures. In RestAssured, you would build models. And in Bruno, we used a few variables. So let's switch to script pre-run request and add this. We defined each variable with a value. Then, in the request body, we reference these variables directly. This makes the request cleaner and much easier to maintain. After creating the user, we capture dynamic values like user ID and user email. These values change every run, so they are the backbone of our chaining. We also right now can introduce logging. Again, something every automation engineer relies on. Logs make debugging easy and help you understand how data flows through your suite. Once the post request runs, we capture two dynamic values, user ID and email. Let's improve our pre-request script with the logs. Now, after defining each variable, we have a console.log statement, which contains two arguments, key and a value. Now, let's move to post response. And in post response, we can add logs as well. So we will log that is a post method, create user response. We add whole body to the logs. Then we set our var user ID and save it in logs that we saved this user ID. And same operation we repeat for user email. Logging the response and saved variables gives us total visibility into what's actually happening. This is extremely useful when debugging changes API flow. Send it. As you can see, everything is passed, our user was created. Now we can move to the next request and refactor it. We create a GET request that user start user ID. Now let's update our URL to contain our variable baseUrl. And we add strong assertion to ensure we are reading the right user, as you remember here. We can add one more string for logs. And also we can add logs for ID. And after that we can add to save logs for email. Perfect. This confirms that the user exists and that the data matches exactly what was created. Let's execute it. Perfect. 200 OK, our test is passed, everything looks good. We can move forward to the put request. When updating a user, the same principles apply. Static updates fields should be stored in a script. Dynamic values captured and saved from the response, and assertions confirm the update. The test should clearly show what changed and that the user ID is the same. Let's start with a pre-run script. Here we can define our variables to the body. So we can now add them here, and also we add logs for each of them. So let's update our body with these variables. Perfect. After we updated our pre-request, we can also add our base URL here. And the last step is update our tests with the logs. So we attach put update user log here and also log after every request. Let's send it. And as you can see, everything is passed, and this ensures the update worked and that the ID stayed the same. Is a crucial check. Also, if you want to see your logs, you can open DevTools here. And as you can see, we have in our logs updating user, put updating user ID is 60, updated name saved, updated user, and updated Gmail. And then we received this user and email. A second GET request closes the update loop. In any automation suite, this is your verification step, making sure the API applied the changes. Let's update our base URL as the first step. And now let's go to the test and improve it with the logs. And also I added verification for a name that was updated. Let's save and execute it. Perfect. Our user returned with the same ID with updated email and name field. Our tests are passed and we have our logs right now here. This guarantees the updated data was actually applied. The delete step stays simple. We delete user using dynamic ID and we assert a successful response. First, again, we have to update our URL with base URL variable, and then we have to improve a bit our test with the logs. Let's save and execute it. And as you can see, our user was successfully deleted. One of the most important best practices in API testing is validating negative flows. After deletion, we confirm that the user no longer exists. This is how really end-to-end flows are structured, ensuring data cleanup and preventing ghost user from piling up. So let's clone our get method and name it get deleted user. Place it after delete. Go to the test and add simple verification as that. Should return status 400 for successfully deleted user. We expect get status 400 and we add two logs that it's get method to confirm deletion and check in that this user ID is not exists anymore. And as you can see, we received 400 and our test is pass. The negative check confirms that your test suite properly cleanups data. By applying these best practices, your CRUD flows is no longer just a sequence of requests. It behaves like a real API automation suite. Centralized static values and dynamic variables captured and reused. Meaningful assertions, login for transparency, and positive plus negative validations. This is exactly how automation engineers structure maintainable test suites on real projects. And this is the end. Thanks for the watching, and I will see you in the next video.